There are 5 things that you can do right now to improve your piano playing. And guess what? Your piano teacher Tim here has you covered once again because I'm going to show you what those 5 things are. All right, let's get to it. The first tip I have for you while playing is to use your arm weight while playing. So you may be thinking, well, I've been using my arm weight the whole time, haven't I? Well, probably not. So especially when students are first learning at the piano, they're learning really just to play the notes and learning about finger crosses, hand positions, things like that. And not a whole lot of thought goes into how is the sound being produced. I mean, obviously it's produced inside the piano or the keyboard, whatever that you're working on, but how you want to get your sound is you do not want to be using just your finger strength alone, because what that does, it limits the amount of nuance that you can get playing soft and playing loud. So if I just use finger strength, it's a lot harder, to go from soft to loud. I mean, you could hear that I did it, but you could hear that the transition was really sloppy. It was very hammery, I guess you could say, because I was really hammering on each of the notes. And actually, I'm using arm weight as it is. But so what you want to do is not use so much the muscles in here or the muscles in here. Your wrist pretty much while you're playing piano almost the whole time. I mean, if you're picking up positions, maybe just a little bit, but you're really not going to be moving your wrist that much. Your wrist is pretty much stationary 99% of the time. So where you want to get the most of your sound when you drop in your hands onto the piano is from your arm weight, just the natural weight that your arm makes coming down, with good old gravity. I can get a lot of sound out of it, and I have a lot more control doing that. Now let me do it maybe like legato. As you notice, as I got to softer again, I was using a little bit more of my hand. Now, what I'm trying to say is you can use your hand muscles. In fact, you will have to at certain points, but most of your sound you're going to get out of the piano is from dropping your forearm onto the piano. So that is tip number 1. Well, let me show you tip number 2. Okay, tip number 2 is to pay attention to phrases. What are those? Well, if you take a look at your music, like the first line here of the Chopin Prelude, you can see that there's an overarching line over, each of the melody notes. I'm going to circle it here. So you got this line here. I'm circling it in blue. And that is your slur line. And those help make basically complete phrases. So when you speak, you have, periods, you have punctuations, different types of punctuations, commas, things like that. You can think about these slur lines, basically all the notes that kind of go underneath them they are put together as a phrase. So that's what a phrase is, basically the notes that fall under a slur line. And you can think of a phrase like you would in, English or speaking, where you have an idea, comma, but there maybe is another idea to it. So you kind of think that all of the notes that fall under this umbrella of a slur line here, that's kind of like the first part of your sentence. And then right after the slur line's over, you want to pick up your hand a little bit, because then you're going to slur and play all of these together as a phrase. So phrasing really helps music create complete ideas in music. If you play without any phrases, I'm going to do it right now. I'm going to see if you can maybe notice the difference. But I'm going to play it right now. And the first time, just this first line here, without any paying attention to any of the slurs or any of the phrases. So here we go. It sounded okay, but didn't it sound kind of stale, kind of choppy, things like that? So basically, the whole idea is whenever notes are slurred together into a phrase, you are doing what's called playing legato. So more connected between each note. So you're not actually physically picking up and having those choppy moments in between. So let me play the whole line with the phrases intact. As you can see, it had quite a bit more musicality to it. Learning how to shape phrases is something that you'll just have to practice over and over until you really get the hang of it. So that was tip number 2, which is pay attention to phrases. It's going to make your playing sound a whole lot better, and it's something that you can incorporate today. All right, let's get on to tip number 3. Tip number 3 is a simple one. It's sit up straight. Make sure your posture is good. My posture could always use more work. Luckily, I have a handy camera in front of me. If you want to get a mirror or a camera or something so that you can see when you're starting to slouch more and more and more. Because, first of all, if you start to slouch, what'll happen over half an hour or so is your back will start to hurt, especially maybe over an hour or even longer. So, by having your core nice and tight, be sitting up straight, it really, really helps kind of alleviate some of the aches and pains that can come along with playing for long periods of time. Now, if you're not used to sitting up straight, it will actually feel like you are expending more energy sitting up straight than you would slouching. But I'm telling you, once you get used to sitting up straight, it's so much better and actually will alleviate a lot off your back. Now, there's another thing you can get out of sitting up straight, having good posture. And let me actually bring it back here for a second in front of the piano. So if you have good posture, you're able to kind of pivot up and down the keyboard a lot better than if I'm like this. See, when you start to kind of come in with your posture and slouch forward, your whole body comes in. You see that? Like it's inevitable. See, like my arms are out here, but as I slouch, they come in. And I really can't do much about it. That's just the way the human body works. You know, if you're out like this, you can so much better, you know, move your arms, move your limbs about, and that translates so much into playing piano. I'd have to play like really long pieces for you to really tell the difference, but just take my advice for it. Make sure that you're sitting up straight, you're working on that, because that's really going to come in handy, not just with playing piano, but other parts of your life as well. So anyway, tip number 3 is to sit up straight. I got more for you guys. Let's get on to tip number 4. Okay, tip number 4 is a good one, especially if you've been following me forever. You know what I'm going to say, right? Leave it in the comments. I'd love to hear from you. I'm going to tell you to play faster. No, you want to practice slower. It's kind of, if you're a beginner, it can be against, like, kind of like your normal mode of operation maybe. I know a lot of students, they think that they're making more progress if they're playing faster because they saw a professional pianist play faster, or they're trying to learn a piece that's well known and they want to play at full speed so it sounds like the piece. Well, guess what? That's going to really, really hurt you in the long run. You're really, by practicing too fast, your playing's going to be sloppy. You're going to be missing mistakes. And believe it or not, your limit, there's going to be a wall you're going to hit in terms of how fast you're going to be able to play because of the sloppy playing, right? So if you really take your time, practice slow. Say, I'm just going to do my scales as an example. You know, if I practice them real slow, you know, each time concentrating maybe like on the finger position, the crossovers and things like that, I can begin playing it faster and faster because by playing it slow so many times, I have developed basically the essential skills to be able to play it fast. So if I have never played the scale before and I, you know, automatically try to play it super fast, not paying attention to all the small details, I'm never going to be able to play it fast, right? It's always going to get stuck. So maybe after a day or two, it's going to seem like you've made more progress by trying to play it too fast, but you'll run into that wall of slowing down so quickly, and it's really really going to hurt you in the long run. You're going to get frustrated. I feel like a lot of students quit piano. One of the reasons is that they're trying to practice too fast. Maybe also they need to adjust their expectations of building up to something a bit faster. Everybody wants to be able to do something right away, that instant gratification. Everybody kind of falls into that a little bit, at least from what I've seen. So just keep that in mind, that patience is key, not only in terms of the long picture of learning piano, but just playing slower. It gives you a lot more time to react to all the things going on, to a lot more time to process all the things going on. So make sure that you're not practicing too fast and you're practicing nice and slow. Sometimes you got to practice painfully slow, and that's the way it's got to be. All right, tip number 5. I got more for you. All right, I got another tip for you. Maybe the most important tip of the day. I mean, they're all really important. The playing slow one was really important, but this one is almost just important, and that tip is to write in your finger numbers. So as you probably know, you got 5 fingers on each hand, going from thumb to pinky, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and you have to be able to hit the right note with the right fingers to be able to play the pattern of notes that you're trying to do. So here I'm just starting at that first measure there. So the good thing is in a lot of music, they're nice, and they write in the number at certain spots that you would kind of need to know. But a lot of music doesn't have that as well. So you want to follow the fingers that they give you. But say, I try this fingering over and over and over again, and I just can't do it. It just keeps failing all over and over and over again. Well, then you want to begin kind of going into the nitty gritty. Oops, it's not 5-4, it's 5-2. And this does take a while, but just like playing slow, it will result in faster progress, even though at first it won't seem like that. So there, I'm going to just play this measure now that I have them written in, or at least the first part, and we're going to see how it goes. So here we go. Almost had it. I'm going to try again. So that pattern of notes, which was kind of complicated at first, it gets a lot easier when I actually write in the finger numbers. And this goes with the right hand as well. Make sure that you're using the fingers that they give you for the most part, and then write them in where need be. And like I mentioned, it's going to seem at first like, man, I could learn this sheet of music so much faster if I didn't have to write in the numbers, because that's extra work, right? It kind of seems like homework at times maybe. Playing slow, that's kind of boring compared to what you would do. I've been doing this for a long time, and I've talked to other people that have been doing this for a long time, and believe me that if you put in the little extra work ahead of time, like the planning, like the fingers, playing slow, maybe analyzing what you're doing with music theory a little bit, you're going to be able to learn the pieces so much faster within like a week. Like I'll be able to blow past where I would have been if I just ignored the finger numbers and all that, because I'd be playing, first of all, if I ignored everything, I'd be making way more mistakes. And then I'd also just be playing a lot slower because my fingers would be tripping all over each other. So that's one of the biggest tips of the day, trust me. And all the tips, make sure that you are incorporating them all into your piano practice.
So that's unutterably dull. But on the other hand, to what extent can the pianist supply dynamic variety?
A lot of students I know have trouble playing with both hands on the piano. Well, guess what? Ya boy, piano teacher Tim here. I'm going to give you a link to a playlist right here that's going to help you practice your two-handed playing, maybe the independence between the two hands, and the coordination. So thank you so much for coming by today. It's been your piano teacher Tim here, and I'm going to see you, yes you, in the next lesson.
Like this.